Gits. They were about addiction, they were about loss, they were about love.
We became, I think, a real band of the people.
People were indoctrinated. They came and they saw this band, and it opened some passageway up in them.
There has not been anything like them since then.
It's what I was doing, what I loved doing, and then we had to stop doing it.
When Mia was murdered, that just destroyed us all.
Everybody was just blown away and just stunned. Like the world caved in, the fucking walls came tumbling down.
It still makes me sad that there's so much more we could have done.
What the fuck happened?
Today was dizzy in my brain. It's not that I like to feel this way. The wagon's shaking and I feel it start to tilt, and I just go tumbling right back in a world where I find myself.
The story of Mia and the Gits, it's not a story about a Seattle band. It's not a story about a punk rock band. It's not a story about a band with a woman singer. This is the story of a great American rock and roll band.
I started playing music when I was about 11. I tried to be a jazz musician, I really tried to. I always kind of hated that fact that I couldn't get into jazz and couldn't really enjoy it because I knew it was a better art form, it was a better music.
I grew up in Jersey. Spent a lot of Sunday afternoons at CBGB's. I started listening to bands like the Minutemen, the Descendants, and Minor Threat. That's when I was inspired to start playing.
The neighborhood I grew up in was way out in Brooklyn. It's like a neighborhood that time forgot. My first guitar was actually like a toy guitar. It had really, really light, cheap nylon strings. It was more like kind of like a ukulele.
I knew I wanted Mia to sing with us.
There are all these people that use you for their own needs.
In fact, I remember literally crying one of the first times I heard her.
I was really happy because I knew that she was good. I didn't know how good.
Very small, small-minded. And have you ever thought that dealing with the world, the outcome is the best thing for you?
The story is that her father's family is a distant descendant of Emiliano Zapata, who was the big revolutionary, and so she kind of had that in her blood, maybe, that like kind of fighting spirit.
What I know of my daughter, she was very quiet, very reserved, ultra shy, the last person in the world who would call attention to herself, and yet put a microphone in her hand, march her up on a stage, and she was just magnetic.
Antioch College is in Ohio. It's an old liberal arts school that was regarded highly a long time ago. The Gits were formed in the fall of 1986 after Matt Dresner came back from a co-op in San Francisco.
I went back to Antioch and I was really inspired to start a band. I knew this guy Andy looked punk rock.
I want you to be the guitarist. So I just said, yeah, sure, whatever. Because I didn't take it seriously.
When I first met the members of the Gits, I was into the Kinks and 60s rock and the Who, and I loved the Ramones and some of those bands, but really, I really didn't know much about punk because it just really didn't exist in Indiana where I grew up.
A week and a half later, we actually had a band. We're practicing for hours every night.
Started jamming. We jammed in this old abandoned dorm room at Antioch, and once Mia started singing, everything just kind of came together, and it was so much fun. And it was this really soulful band. The songs were really fast and furious.
And I was in class with Mia, and I remember just always being kind of intimidated, like, who is this woman? I mean, she just commanded respect and interest immediately.
I was at this party, and it was pretty late, and everyone was drunk, especially Mia. She just like jumped up on a table out of the blue and started singing like Bessie Smith blues or something. And it was like, blew everyone away.
It was really as if like somebody pulled the plug out of the wall or something. The room kind of stopped. I think it was at that moment when Matt Dresner heard her sing that he was like, I'm gonna form a band with her.
Her natural performance was just so beautiful. I mean, there was an awkwardness about her because she would pull her knees together and, you know, she looked like a chicken. I mean, she did. And it was awesome because you're like, who is this lady who sings like a heavy angel? It was like, where is Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith? Let's just like power punch them and power pack them, you know, inside this chicken woman who's got a lot of heart. You know, what's going on here?
When we started the band, we were called the Sniveling Little Rat-Faced Gits.
I wanted to change the name of the fucking band, but the other three people in the band would not have it.
A Git's like a moron, a crackpot. A Git is a freak. A Git's a dork. A Git's a nerd. It's from a Monty Python episode.
Darling, these are the Gits. The Gits.
Band names are inherently stupid, and they become what just a symbol of the band.
This is our sniveling little rat-faced Git, and this is his wife, dreary, fat, boring old Git.
It doesn't evoke anything. The other three of them, they were just like, the Gits. we're the Gits.
The Gits shows at Antioch were like unparalleled, probably to anything that I've seen in a certain sense.
It was time for all of us to leave Antioch. We hadn't all graduated, but it was time to leave.
Andy and I knew we wanted to get as far away from the East Coast as we could, so Seattle felt natural. And we heard there was a little bit of a music scene burgeoning. As soon as we arrived here, it just felt like home.
We all lived various places for a few months until December, when a bunch of us moved into a big old rundown house that became the main center of our activities for the next several years. We called it the Rat House.
This is 19th Street, and the Rat House is at 19th and Denny, which is just right on Capitol Hill. It was owned by this guy who was a warlock, and he told me that the crows used to all come and land on top of the house, and the neighbors thought that he was a demon, so they spray painted a white cross on the front lawn. He also said that it used to have cockroaches, but he made a cockroach stew. And this was the guy that rented to us. He made a cockroach stew and ate the stew, and then from then on, all the cockroaches left. And let's see, I haven't been here for a long time. This Porsche wasn't here. This was a beat-up 76 Dodge van that was falling apart. And one time, the brakes gave way and it like drove down, and we found it in the bushes like way down the street, and miraculously it didn't hit any other cars, but just sort of drove itself and crashed down at the bottom. When this fence wasn't there, there's a porch there in front of the door, and that's where we used to sit and, you know, talk about projects and drink and hang out.
Out of all of us, Mia had been the first one of us to become gainfully employed. And she got a job as a waitress at the Frontier Room, and she made about $4.25 an hour.
But it used to be toughest dive bar and nastiest Greasy Spoon restaurant in town. And
we were here every day.
Because she would feed us.
She would feed us, and we didn't have much money. And so I think we spent probably every day for about a year and a half at this waterfront dive.
See, that's where Mia used to live, in that room back there. I used to live up there. that top floor there, actually, I had the best room. And Carla and Julian lived in that bottom area, which used to be a church chapel, I guess. And there was an altar in there where the church used to be, and they had their bed on the altar, which is kind of risque.
So beautiful. I mean, it was just so nice to meet people that just kind of had your same mind. That's the way we want to live our life, you know?
When you had beer dripping off the wall, you know, because people were rowdy. I mean, it was punk rock. You know, what do you expect? So people would, like, break through windows, you know, break things, fall over, dump their beer, throw their beer. I mean, it was just incredible. It was just totally insane.
Here we are in front of this hair salon that used to be the foremost live music venue in Seattle. It's a club called The Vogue.
We were trying to get a gig there for like months, and that no one would. The guy wouldn't book us at all.
We actually bribed him with $1. The first night at The Vogue was our foot in the door in Seattle.
Hey, Jules, let vocals in his monitor and more guitar. Maybe a little more for me.
How many times do you go see a band? It's like, oh, okay. Start playing, and, you know, something happens. With them, it was like, and oh, fuck. They're bringing something else to the table that no one else around here has.
I remember I brought some friends to see their show, and everybody just got along really instantly,
like
you know?
instantaneous.
Yeah, instantaneous.
It was
They were
like-
just like immersed into this kind of whole punk rock scene there. A lot of people became it was on the same, everybody was kind of on the same level, coming from the same place.
Down there is where we had our rehearsal studio, and 7 Year Bitch, DC Beggars, the Gits, Big Brown House, and all the bands rehearsed down there.
And I can remember when 7 Year Bitch got started, there was Valerie Agnew, who at the time was Steve's girlfriend, and Celine, and Stephanie Sargent, and Liz Davis. And they were all huge fans of music and huge fans of the Gits.
We so, you know, respected and admired and looked up to them and, you know, just thought they were the shit.
So when we first started playing, it was like we had to borrow their gear. I mean, we didn't know shit. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. So they just totally helped us and then listened to us thrashing away, banging around down there. I mean, I can't even imagine what it was like for them.
We would have to go and get like a half rack of beer to loosen up and get comfortable enough to just start playing.
Because we'd be like, you guys go away, like go somewhere else.
Yeah, just go away, don't listen to us.
Oh, get that fucking camera out of my face. God, Jesus, Stephanie, light up, will you?
There was, you know, some, I think, encouragement, probably specifically from Mia, to say, you guys can do this. You don't need to just stand in the audience.
She's like, no, you should be the singer. And I'm like, okay.
And I was like, I'll play drums. My boyfriend plays drums.
Steve starts showing her how to play drums. We meet this other girl, Elizabeth, who also worked in the market. Oh, she's playing bass with, you know, let's have her come out there and jam with us.
Me would always come up and be like, what you're doing is good. It's real. It's true. You guys sound really good. And she paid attention. She, like, would pick out certain things. Like, you knew she wasn't just giving it lip service.
And I knew that her bedroom was right above our practice space, and I was like, whoa, that was really, like, intimidating, you know?
I realized that sort of our ethic, the reason we were doing it, fit more into the category of punk than anything else.
We were bored, we were young, we were a little bit drunk, a little bit angry, and we had a lot of energy. What we considered punk was the whole do-it-yourself ethic. If you need to make something happen, you decided you were going to do it, and you started from scratch, and you just did it. And that's how we put out our first record.
I mean, we'd have these haphazard meetings. Everybody's all, whatever,
We're gonna
drinking.
get a collective
like, okay,
together,
we gotta
we're
get serious, so we're gonna put out this compilation, and we're gonna do this.
So we pulled all the different people that were in bands and said, hey, you want to put a cut on this record? Give us a tape.
At a time which we didn't even realize there was such a huge thing about to happen in that city.
We had no other family here, so our family was
us.
The Comet was like the bar Dave went to most of the time, and the Comet knew that if there was a party at a Red House, everybody was basically invited. You know, so it was many times that it's like people would just show up.
There was going to be the big Rat House party, you know, Gits were playing, and the Beggars, and 70 Year Bitch, just, you know, let's go, New Year's.
New Year's Eve show that we did at the Rat House was all like, you know, you see it with Mia and everybody like, no fucking war, and we were all just like really, there was all that going on that was affecting everybody's whole psyche and just whatever.
Before there was a band or before there was a show or before there was a rehearsal, there was our friendship and our loyalty to one another.
And I think that was kind of the spirit of the Rat House and like the thing that was going on there. It was just easy and free and fun.
The get-go, this chemical thing where things would just sort of organically materialize and songs would happen more than be written.
A few times I just messed around with some shit on guitar, and the other guys were like, "Oh, is that a new song?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, it is," even though it wasn't. But I would tell them that because the thing is, when you're in a band, you get bored pretty easily. You constantly get bored of the shit, and you want to do something new, and you want to keep, and that's how bands get better and better from doing this. You know, a lot of songs too, I would just bring the entire song fully formed and show the band, and they would arrange it. Other things I didn't have fully formed, I just had these parts, but I knew sort of the order, and then, you know, we would arrange it together as a group, you know, mostly me and Matt, or me, Matt, and Steve.
Matt, he would come up with great bass lines. He had a really good ear, and he could sort of describe what he wanted, and Matt would turn it into something that was unique.
Both Steve and Andy were just amazing players, and trying to keep up with their musicianship forced me to learn very quickly.
If the three of us were working on stuff or whatever, Mia would come down with a tape recorder and listen to it for a while, and then eventually, after she heard it a couple times, she'd tape it and then bring it upstairs, and then we wouldn't hear from her about it for a while, and then we'd have a period where it was just the three of us pretty much working on stuff, and then we'd start hassling her, you know, "So Zapata, where's our lyrics?" "Yeah, you'll get it eventually. You'll get it when I'm ready." Well, a lot of times she had these little journal books, and a lot of times at the bar or wherever she was hanging out, if she was by herself, a lot of times she would just sit around and write in them.
Hey, you walk in with another headache, I can tell by the lines in your face. You seem to think if you just remove the problem, the answers are what will come next. Another shot of whiskey and maybe I'll be ready. What's still crowded in your head? Never thinking that all the good times were walked in with bad. Don't know why we compromise ourselves. I thought it was a common understanding. With all I've tried to help with, well, tell me why. Go end up at the end. Another cup of beer while I'm savior at the bar. And maybe I'll get me some rest. Don't know why all the good times have to turn up with the band.
And I thought she was a great lyricist. I thought she had some great words.
Andy's unusual mind was greatly enhanced by his support that Mia would give him, and there's just this emotional link.
They were not lovers, you know, they weren't a romantic duo. They were an artistic duo. Their depth of their connection was really in the music. It's a lyricist and a music writer who understand each other's rhythms.
Her and Andy, they brought the best out in each other. He kind of understood what she could sing and would push her to her limits. The two just really created something that was bigger than the both of them as individuals.
She was really like my soulmate as far as my music soulmate. It's kind of a miracle to meet someone like that in this life. Flame-O, that was always one of my favorites. When I wrote the music to that, I was in the Rat House basement, and it just came together really quickly, and I just had a really good feeling about it. It's funny because the chorus, Mia says, immobilized by the torment. I didn't know what the words were because I hadn't read them. I thought she was saying, just like my father told me. One time I asked her, so Mia, what are you saying about your father in that one song? Like, I'm not saying it like my father told me, you idiot. But we always laughed at that. You know, when we play it live sometimes, she would just say, just like my father told me.
I say, see Fitz Louisville.
The stuff that was getting all the publicity was basically the Sub Pop bands and this grunge thing, which was fine for whatever it was, but we had nothing to do with it.
Here's to Your Fuck. Obviously, I stole the title from David Lynch from Blue Velvet, fuck this shit, and fuck my health sucks, or whatever, Here's to your fuck. Here's to your fuck, Frank.
Thank you. You've all been very kind and patient. Smile for the camera.
Mia was doing something that was unique in 1993, and it's unique today. This raw, pitch brilliant blues singer singing as this charismatic front to this whirlwind of a punk rock band. I'm so lucky to have seen it.
She could have really sang in any type of band, and she would have always been the spotlight, the point of focus.
Hi, where's the kids?
Right, man, I'd like to thank all these people and bands that came out tonight, support, help, make us feel good coming back here.
She didn't give a shit, and it totally came out.
Because she wasn't afraid of abrasiveness. How sloppy you are in life, there's a beauty to it.
There was a soulfulness that came out of Mia, and there was a rawness.
The intensity within her was like something that was like both punk rock and blues, and because it had that depth.
I mean, you'd have to be a fucking zombie to not be affected.
Don't give me your lies, they call it
It never really sunk in that there was this tremendous following of fans, and not to sound melodramatic, but even people who worshiped the ground she walked. I never thought of her as a star. It's just my daughter, my daughter, Mia Zapata, 27 years old and double jointed. That's who she was, who when we were on camping trips as a young kid would get mosquitoes in her hair, flies in her hair, and was always sitting around trying to figure out how to get all these flies out of the knots in her hair.
My mother has this great idea that we're going to go to the local bar in Sandpoint, Idaho, and we go to this open mic night, and I'm scared to death. And of course we walk in, and everybody's singing country songs, and of course everybody's kind of looking at Mia, And Mia beelines right for the guy handling the thing and says, "Would you mind if I borrowed your guitar?" "Oh yeah, what are you gonna do?" He says, "Well, I'd like to sing a few songs." And she gets up there in her fur coat and her dreads and bleached out roots, and she looks nuts. She looks like she doesn't belong there. She blew this room away. The shots were being sent to the table, shaking hands, and it was the introduction to Mia's talent that I never knew.
She didn't have your typical sense of humor, and she couldn't tell a joke worth her life, but somehow everything she said had a sort of dry wit and bite to it. We'd be driving along hour upon hour, and there'd be some cows out in the pastures, and every time we saw cows, she would just go, "Those cows, they're outstanding in their field." The worst part, though, was when she tried to relate that humor on stage. Mia would try to fill the gap by saying something funny. And no one ever got what she was saying.
She didn't know how to drive at all, and she loved the idea of driving. And she convinced someone else who didn't know, who just assumed that she had a license. And she was like, can I drive us back to the rat house from the Comet? And he was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, you have your car, right? He's like, yeah. She's like, okay.
Hey, Mia, I don't really remember all these tall buildings near your house. She just turned around. She's like, shut up. I'm taking you the scenic route.
She would have been great if she was singing with an acoustic guitar. She would have been great if she was singing in a techno band. As it happened, she was singing in a punk rock band.
Second Skin, it was like, I don't know. Maybe I have a prejudice because I put the single out, but I thought it was their best song, and I couldn't believe they picked me to put it out.
We were just kind of playing around, and all of a sudden this song evolved. I imagine specifically Andy probably came up with a riff.
When we were doing Second Skin and recording that in the studio, everyone left and Mia did the vocals by herself, and I was the first one to come back, and I thought her vocal performance was just really wonderful. And Mia just looked at me and she said, yeah, it's real desperate. It's more desperate sounding than what we've been coming up with up until this point.
I mean, it had everything that we liked about music, the driving force, the emotions of Mia's lyrics, and for the first time it was kind of catchy too.
Change. so strength. I've got that second skin, I've got that chance to give. I've got the only way that I know how to live with it. I need a second skin, something to hold me close. I need a second skin, something I can recreate.
God, I'll let you stay. We're playing tomorrow night at the Opera.
We get into the parking lot, and she makes me promise that I will not make a scene in Tower Records. And then, of course, I immediately go to this local section, and there it is, a Gits CD. And so I'm, hey, Mia, come over here, come over here. She said, Dad, your voice is too loud, your voice is too loud. Dad, you're making a scene. I'm getting out of here. No, you come here, let me show you. She's pulling on my sleeve, and I'm pointing at the CD. So finally, I acquiesced, and we leave the store. She's saying, why did you do that? And I said, I didn't do anything. All I did was hold up your CD. She says, it embarrasses me. I said, why would it embarrass you? This is what you do for a living. You don't think of it like that, Dad.
It must have been stunning to feel that you were a part of a scene that the whole world was looking at, because everyone's eyes were on Seattle right then.
When 7 Year Bitch got rolling, totally out of the basement of the Rat House with so much help from them, and when we started to get popular, and then even to the point where, we were getting signs and stuff, it was really weird.
We were a little envious, we're like, fuck, these guys going to New York and playing these shows.
We taught them how to play their instruments, and they're playing in New York before us. They got to be on the cover of The Rocket, and we barely ever got them mentioned in that rag.
This is what happens, I suppose, in an intense rock scene. You either become rivals or you become friends. And they were clearly friends.
There was a documentary filmmaker in town, and he was working on a movie called Hype that was about the Seattle scene.
7 Year Bitch was asked to be a part of it, and I think they asked Doug Prey, the filmmaker.
Have you guys talked to the Gits yet? Because, if you haven't, get on it.
And eventually he contacted us, and we were always a bit wary of film people.
We were always kind of like, yeah, I don't know about you. We're going to have to think about this if we're going to talk to you society people.
Waking in a state it's not my own. The only thing that's real is that amongst these walls I whisper to a fear that sleeps in my soul, waiting on my conscience. But I think I know it hurts me to be angry, kills me to be kind, but my only torment is my own disguise, waiting on the favors they only come to show. There's not much in there for you to hold.
I heard about Mia Zapata kind of just through the scene. I knew 7 Year Bitch and Tad and, Soundgarden, and it was sort of like, oh, there's this really great singer, you have to see her, there's this really great singer, you have to see her.
One of the guys from Sub Pop knew Mia from the Frontier Room and had seen us at one of our very first shows, and he asked us if we would be interested in opening for Tad and Nirvana.
Nirvana was just breaking, and Soundgarden and all these bands were becoming really trendy and hip in the U.S. But we were like, fuck it, let's go to Europe.
Though we were completely unknown at the time to the Europeans, they treated us like royalty, and we made many great friends and played some spectacular shows.
We played this place called the Ecstasy, and it was this huge club, and we ended up going out at 3 in the morning, and the place was packed with people. But at that point in time, Seattle bands were considered so hip. And I remember one show in Denmark, we were playing with this band called Life But How to Live It from Oslo, Norway. And the singer from that band, she was singing all the words to our songs. She just totally dug Mia's lyrics. It was probably one of the best things that we did as a band.
We became, I think, a real band of the people. You know, actually, someone said that to me, and it was really true.
We got back home. 7 Year Bitch had just played a real big show, I think, opening for the Chili Peppers. The sort of fast success of 7 Year Bitch at that time, the momentum, became too much for Stephanie Sargent. And she had been fighting a heroin addiction. It snuck up and bit her in the ass. Mia was especially crushed by Stephanie's death.
I dedicate this song to a great friend of mine. Died 1 year today from it. All those are left.
There is a silence that tastes as a song. Sensitive to the peace that we know. If I could take that crevice in me, I'd fill it up with all that you live. When I was walking into the water, and I was trying not to breathe, but I could feel the current pulling me, and I just get that deeper. And I'm sick of the pain that you're feeling now. Sway me down. If I could erase it all within one time, a ragged patches around my soul, and now let me go. As I drown these evil fears, penetrate the obstacle. I feel the seaweed creeping up my skin. It's like a monster that's reaching for me. But with the passion and life I've got left, I gotta use it to sacrifice myself.
And one time, I think it was Mia, Stephanie, and maybe Maria, I remember seeing them all in the lake. They were tangled up in a lot of seaweed, and they were all like screaming and squawking and like wrestling and all this stuff in the water. And it was just so funny because although they were these total, you know, like insane punk rock women and stuff, they looked like little girls, you know. They were like screaming in the water, and you could tell when one of them would get caught in the seaweed because they were totally like even more than the others, and try to pull the others in it and stuff. And Mia told me that's from going into the seaweed like that, you know, that's where she came up with the lyrics to Seaweed.
We have CDs, tapes, records. Got a compilation over there with all Seattle bands and San Francisco bands. Steel Blow West Hub, 7 Year Bitch, fucking DC Bears, Gits, a lot of people. It's all for sale right there.
It just seemed to keep building and building, and we had all kinds of tours that were being set up, national tours. First gig in New York was set up, and we were real looking forward to that.
Hey, Dad, this is Mia. Well, I'm down here in L.A., and I'm in this fancy restaurant. We're sitting there with these executives from this recording company, and, well, they're, you know, making an awful lot of promises to us of what can happen and how they can help us and all of that.
And I sat with them, and at that moment, I committed myself to the idea that I was going to sign this band, that they were going to be on Atlantic Records.
One of the executives was asking the group what their aspirations, what their goals were. And when they got to Mia, she said, well, all I really want is a cabin in the woods, an English sheepdog and a Jeep and to be able to sit and write music. And one of the executives said, we can give you that right now.
I don't know whether they had committed themselves to that idea. But I decided that I was going to make them a firm offer to be on Atlantic. And in fact, this was June 1993.
This was the beginning, you know, of so much great stuff to come. It was just a real, just totally creative group. It was just so spontaneous that way.
When I woke up today, it was dizzy in my brain. It's not that I like to feel this way. The wagon's shaking and I feel it start to tilt. And I just go tumbling right back in a whirlwind. I find myself again. I see it coming. Why can't I seem to hold on to a fucking thought? This whirlwind's got me and I'm racing out the door. It's not for a while, but when I try to focus, all my convictions come crashing down around me again. Sneaking up behind me,
We were sitting at the corner end of the bar nearest the door, and Mia was in a really good mood because she had just played a solo show in LA and gotten paid for it. And she was really psyched about it. She was very loving and really like hugged us deeply and licked my face and did a Mia maneuver, you know? And she left the bar, and it was about midnight, maybe a little after. And I got the call from Steve saying that Mia was missing, and he was hoping that it wasn't a repeat of Stephanie, which made me think drug-related, which didn't make sense. She said she was going to take a cab, she was doing this, she was doing that, and we were just having like a regular night at the Comet, where like we would normally have.
Two of her roommates finally broke down and called the morgue, where she was, and she was an unidentified victim at the morgue at that time.
"27-year-old Mia Zapata was a singer on the brink of making it big. The band, the Gits, had recently released a full-length CD. National tour dates had just been finalized, but it's all over now. Zapata's body was found early Wednesday morning on a remote street in the Central District. Zapata had been strangled. Police are investigating, but so far they have no suspects or motives.
You can imagine how devastated I was when I learned about that, and how angry I was, you know, that could happen.
And I just remember feeling like, holy shit. Like the world caved in, the fucking walls came tumbling down, you know, it was hard.
Out of all of us, we were all so devastated, but I think it was really most difficult for my mother because, you know, and my father too. I mean, that was their little girl, you know, and they were so proud of her because she really paved her own road.
You think things are bad and they get so much worse, and you have to handle it. And you have to deal with it, and you have to persevere, and you have to carry on, and you have to hold each other up and keep each other up. But it was so hard. It was like it was really a devastating thing. Her death there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was so definitely she was there and she was gone. She was missing in action. It was just like she was just taken out, right? Like so violently.
There's no closure for that.
Cut my skin, it makes me human. Scorn of mine, won't just feel the pain. 'Cause it's what makes us human. Yeah, keeps us all the same.
That was a heavy time. That was a heavy. Lose a few people like that in your immediate life. That's a big one.
We're all the same.
I think we were really hitting some strides musically and in our writing when Mia was killed, so
it's really a shame because we had so much lined up. I mean, Mia had started writing music again, and she had played me this piece on piano during a lunch break at the pizza place where she worked. And to me, I just felt like this was the beginning, you know, of so much great stuff to come, and it's just a real shame, you know, that obviously that it never got to be. So
everybody was just blown away and just stunned and just grasping at anything and trying to figure it out. And it was a mystery. It was a grand mystery. And I think that the main thing for me at that time was that she was gone and that she was dead and that she had suffered. That she had suffered. And that was the hit that I kept getting, was like, what did she go through? What were her last moments like? What the fuck happened?
We've got her whereabouts till about 2:15 in the morning. And there's probably about a 1 hour, an hour and 15-minute time frame from the time she's last seen till the time her body's found. And we have no idea what happened at that time. This is the area 24th and Yesler. This is where Mia's body was found. At that time was nothing like the way it is today. It's kind of a field area. It was somewhat isolated. And there was a young lady who was out. She came across Mia's body and she ran across the street. There's a fire station there. And she woke up the firefighters. They came out here and called paramedics. And like I said, they tried to do the best they could, but it was too late at that point. Mia was already dead.
I remember that night when we were with her. But then I don't remember anything until the funeral. And, you know, being at the funeral home with everybody sticks in my head so vividly.
On the day of the wake, I happened to look outside, and the line kept getting longer. And now it was like a half a block long. And all you could come up with is, well, these are fans and friends of Mia's.
It blew my mind how many people knew Mia, but Mia also knew them back.
We went over to the casket, and laying in the casket around Mia, there were snips of hair. There were rings, neck chains, labels, and postcards, poems, all laying, very respectfully laying around her head and shoulders and on her chest. And it was, I mean, it was just absolutely unbelievable. There was a wake that her friends, her fans, was then holding that evening. There were posters scattered all over Seattle announcing where this wake was going to be held. The only admission was one yellow rose. That's all you had to bring. And the significance of that was that Mia loved yellow roses. We as a family were in my car and we were driving to the street that the wake was going to be held on in the building. I made a couple of wrong turns and at a certain point I said, wait a minute. Look, I don't know exactly where we're going, but if you'll notice on the streets, there are people carrying yellow roses, and they are walking to where the location of this wake, and we'll just follow them.
She touched a lot of people, and a lot of people considered Mia their best friend because she probably was the best friend to a lot of people, because she was a great friend.
People who never knew Mia often have a lot of misconceptions of what she was like. They often imagine that she was a real tough girl or that she was some type of selfless martyr or saint. I would say that those two things are distortions of qualities which she did in fact possess. But in reality, she was a very modest person. She was extremely affectionate and sincere, very, very intelligent and really funny. She was very private, very gentle. Mia and I were just had a beautiful relationship. She was my best friend, and just musically, it was just amazing partnership. I really felt like she was, you know, part of me.
This is a painting. It's on the albums that I did of Mia. It's actually probably one of the most. It probably is the most difficult painting I've ever done. I did it the day that she died. I don't know how many years ago it was today, but it still makes me really emotional inside to talk about it. But I mean, I don't know. That's why I paint pictures.
She was on loan to me. And she now belongs to all of you. And it's neat. I like it. And I'm proud of her.
There are these things I want most. but they always stand close enough to take me to the next train. 'Cause when it cuts, it really does. My soul feels like blood. Don't know how long it's gonna take, but I'm gonna need a little more one day. Sometimes I just wanna know, faster than a train is gonna roll. Is it real? Tell me, is it wrong me to keep these dreams as strong as in my mind?
Our office was involved with the Seattle Police Department from the inception of the case. We knew that we had a tough case on our hands. There were things about the case that led to one scenario that is always bothersome from law enforcement perspective, which is if it's a relatively random type of crime, there's going to be less clues, less evidence to glean, to collect.
The theory is, and for the most part it works, a female is going to be killed by someone she knows. When someone's murdered, there are other victims. There's collateral damage. And it's the family and close friends and associates, because everybody assumes it's one of us. And who is it?
It broke it apart, and it was never the same again. A whole dark cloud came over everything and stayed there.
When Mia was murdered, that just destroyed us all. All our friends' bands, everyone just broke up. We just pretty much lost it.
At the time, a lot of our friends were being questioned and being taken in to give samples and stuff. Close friends of ours, male friends and stuff, and that were coming up to us and saying, God, I had to go down to the police station and be questioned and give them a sample and stuff, and how harsh it was for them, and how we were feeling is because we didn't at the time. Now we're back there at the time, and it was bringing up all those feelings. Is you didn't know if it was the guy that was sitting across the bar from you every night.
We decided 2 weeks after she was killed that the police weren't doing enough and that we had to hire a private investigator. By end of August, we had started the investigation. Then we started a campaign to raise money for it, and we called on our friends that played in different bands to play benefit shows at different clubs around town.
Guys in the Gits called to see if I would be interested. They were doing some benefit stuff to raise money for Private Eye.
It somehow came up in the studio with Joan, and she's just like, we got to do something. We got to be involved.
I think somehow we got around to talking about playing some of the Gits songs.
Next thing you know, she's singing the Gits songs with the surviving members of the Gits.
The band that we created with the remaining Gits and myself, we called Evil Stig, which means Gits live backwards.
Hey, we'd like to thank you all right here real quick for coming out to Viva Zapata. Thank you for supporting. Awakening a stage, not my own. The only thing that's real that I respect to.
Andy, Matt, and Steve were nothing but beautiful souls to me. I can't imagine what they were going through. I mean, I really can't. I cannot imagine that happening. And when you see the footage and you see how close they were, and you see Andy and Mia joking on stage, and you see this rapport and how close they were, I mean, it really had to be devastating, So I really think it's admirable what they did, and I think Mia would be proud of them what they did.
The amount of bands that got involved, which was the Posies, Presidents of the United States, Nirvana, when Kurt was alive, Eddie Vedder, Soundgarden, and they all brought things. I think Soundgarden lent us some of the equipment, like the drums and whatnot.
I wanted to do the music proud. I wanted to do a good job. I wanted to raise a lot of money, to make sure, we were able to give the Private Eye something good and helpful. So, you just wanted to do everything justice, I suppose.
To actually get a huge group of people like that together to to come up with the money to hire a private investigator, you know, because we didn't know what the Seattle police was, you know.
How far they were going to take it.
You have to do something too, you know.
Will there be hundreds mourning for you? Will they talk to the talent and inspiration you gave? No. Who thinks that your mother will stand in sorrow at your grave? Mother, may I? Maria, some things don't come full Society did this to you. Does society have justice for you?
In the end, I think we raised close to $50,000 for the investigation, and didn't come to anything. We found out a lot of dirt about a lot of people, but in the end, we didn't find out who killed her, and we still haven't.
Looking back on all that stuff, there's really creepy foreshadowing in their songs and everywhere you look.
After she was killed, it was very, very difficult to listen to that song. Go ahead and slash me up and spread me all across this town because you're the one that won't be found. I mean, gosh, how could you not equate that with what happened to her?
Then you raped her. You left her in the alleyway. I know I'll have to see you, and I'll think of you as one could have covered after you.
I'd like to let her lyrics speak for themselves, and, you know, I have my own interpretation of what that was, and I do know some of the stuff she was going through personally at the time, but I think lyrics should be taken in by everyone that hears them individually and looked at on a personal level from the listener.
My personal opinion is that she was trying to make a serious song about violence against women.
The cops were telling us, don't tell anyone that Mia was raped. And we were like, fuck that.
It could have been me, it could have been anybody, but it was Mia. And she was so fierce and so street smart.
There was an incredible sense of disempowerment after Mia was killed. We didn't feel safe. We were freaked out. The whole city was pretty freaked out. The community was freaked out.
The anger started kicking in really hard, but such intense anger and just fucking rage.
Valerie called me from the road and said, we have to get together as soon as I get back. We've got to do something. She was just all like freaked out.
We were just like thinking in the modes of self-defense, like, you know, wishing that we were all fucking ninja bitches.
We didn't like feeling afraid. We felt we don't want to change the way we live. I mean, we want to be able to go out, see shows, play shows, drink, have it be 2 o'clock in the morning and get home. We just want to get home without being fucked with.
And that's kind of the inception of Home Alive. And it's still around, it's still doing it, and I think we've accomplished our goals and beyond.
There was a sense of we're all taking care of ourselves and each other. We're watching each other's backs at the same time.
It seemed like from Home Alive, people are trying to make something positive happen from something really horrible. And I remember thinking, like getting a lot of inspiration and hope from that.
Definitely for me made it a little easier to deal with the violence that she suffered.
After the Gits ended, we started the Dancing French Liberals of 48. It was really therapeutic because it was a hardcore band and we played hard and we played fast. And we rehearsed a lot, and our goal was to be able to play at the record release party for our second album, which would be released posthumously. That was the record release party for Enter the Conquering Chicken. And it was also really cool finishing that album up after Mia had passed away, because we felt close to her because we were able to hear her sing and listen to her really doing her thing.
Nothing like pain to make you all the same. God, I'm not a guitar player, I'm sorry.
All right, one more and we're gonna get on to this tonight. This is mine. Adrian! I can tell you yell anywhere, you dog, okay? Matt! You scum. Well, I don't need your social love, no. If you misread enough. And what ails me is the fact that you'll smile when walking on by it, walking on by. And yeah, when it hits me, I see it still gets kind of heavy. And yeah, when it's laying there over, it's wide open and red. Well, I don't need your social love, now I already feel misread enough. And what ails me is the fact that you smile when you're walking on by. Just keep on walking, yeah, when it hits me, I see you stay to the limit. And yeah, when it's laying there over, it's fucking wide open and red. Well, I don't need your social crap, you well sleep, boys, I can't see what ails me. It's your protection, stay and never look beneath.
In the 10 years that have passed since that, the crime, her true goodness has come out.
After the tragedy of Mia's death, I think it's really amazing that we have, you know, all of these recordings, and that so many people took photographs, and there's film that you guys have compiled, and it's all there, and I'm glad that's there. But it still makes me sad that there's so much more we could have done.
If anything, I like to discuss more things that are positive about the Gits and the musical legacy and the artistic legacy that Mia left.
Probably if the Gits had some kind of mission or quest or something, it was to kind of put some soul back into that kind of music, and I think we did, and that's why I think people respond to it and care about it, and why it continues to matter to people.
Oftentimes in the history of popular music, women artists take a while for really their influence to be felt. And I think it's a ripe time for the Gits' influence to be felt and Mia's influence, because a new generation of artists like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and the Distillers are taking from Mia without even knowing they're taking from Mia.
What she was about and that type of life force that seemed unique. And to think that that was just strangled away from all of us it's just very sad.
Every hour that goes by after a crime, it's harder to solve, but doesn't mean it won't be.
It's always going to be, always will be in the back of your head.
I tried to keep those guys' hopes up that we would find a killer, but it was terribly disheartening.
In any case, we never saw the file, so we don't know if there's any evidence.
Basically, we don't know anything, and that's how it's been, and that's how it still is. So
short of somebody turning someone else in, or somebody confessing, we're fucked. We're still in the dark as far as, and that person is still out there, obviously.
Number 1 in Western Washington, with coverage you can count on. King 5 News at 5.
A local murder mystery dating back a decade may be solved tonight. Police in Florida arrest a suspect, somebody they believe killed Seattle grunge singer Mia Zapata.
It was a horrific unsolved murder case that shocked Seattle's music scene. And now, a documentary is being made about the band The Gits, its success and its demise. But this documentary will now have a different ending.
I got a call on my cell phone from King 5, the TV station, and they said, "We want to be the first to interview you about this indictment." And I said, "Okay, you can do that, but first you got to show me proof." Van pulls up, a woman gets out and gives me a piece of paper, and it's a fax from the Miami Police Department saying that they have someone in custody.
I'll still never forget the day I got a phone call from Steve Moriarty. No hello, no nothing. We got him.
Is sort of the next chapter in this awful story. I'm glad they finally caught this guy. It doesn't change anything about the band, anything about the music we've made.
The key to the break in this case after 10 years, DNA evidence.
10 years ago, detectives saved some DNA evidence from the crime scene, and that finally led to an arrest in Florida.
Mia was viciously raped. There was no semen, but her attacker left saliva on her breast. And so when we probably reopened the case, we started looking at the evidence. We said, hey, we've got saliva samples. We sent the gauze in, and we were able to get a profile.
Just 1 month ago, detectives finally got a computer hit. It led them across the country to Marathon, Florida, where last night officers arrested this man, 48-year-old Jesus Makita. He's a recently convicted Florida felon whose profile was newly entered in a database.
The suspect, Jesus Mesquia, was 39 years old when Mia Zapata was murdered. The investigation revealed he lived in Seattle at the time of the murder. Last month, a DNA match was made from the Florida felon database from a newly entered profile. The nationwide...
This guy was an animal. He was the type of guy that when he walked in the room, the temperature dropped about 10 degrees. He's big, he's got hands. I remember the hands are like baseball mitts. He's a predator. I'll go to my grave saying that they never met till that night.
Nobody knew anything. Nobody knew this guy. We were on the wrong track the whole time.
She was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he was out like a hunter trying to find game.
When it all came about, it was really a shock to everybody's system.
It was just like whirlwind, kind of up, down, like euphoric, like fucking piece of shit is caught.
Seeing the man's face for the first time was a truly evil experience. Like the dam just broke, you know? It was just like, oh my God, this is the last person that she saw. She was looking into this guy's eyes.
I felt disgust and hate for the guy to the point that I pitied him. That I hated him so much.
When we got back from Florida, my sergeant called me on a weekend. She said, "Can you call Richard Zapata, tell him what's going on?" And I called him, and I talked for Richard for about a half hour. And I'll tell you what, through all this stuff, he's thanking us. He's telling me that you guys are saints from what you did. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, Jesus, I mean, you know, we did our job. And I remember walking down the stairs, and I was up in the bedroom talking. I walked down the stairs, and my wife said, "How'd it go?" And I just started crying. And I said, geez, the guy's incredible. I can see why Mia was the way she was.
The time that it took to solve this case, to gather enough evidence to support charging and hopefully a conviction later on, is how it tracked with the evolution of DNA itself. Because in the early 90s, DNA was just being ushered into the courtrooms. Evidence such as saliva could not yield a result at that time. But then some 9-10 years later, the lab now is able to take a very small sample and render a reliable result and a genetic profile. The discoverer of that process received the Nobel Prize.
And I think I wanted to be there. My sister wanted to be there. My father, of course, was definitely going to be there. But my mother, she had a tough time. She just really, I think she wanted to be there, but she just didn't feel like she could be. She felt like it would just hurt too much. She didn't want to have a face. She didn't want to know details. She didn't want to relive it.
The trial, it was different things. Different people saw it differently. The people in Capitol Hill, the music industry, it was their day. I mean, it was finally redemption. It had really shaken up that community. It really hit them hard. And to them, it was almost like the day of deliverance.
Please rise. Court is again in session. Good morning, everyone. Please be seated. Has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor, we have.
Would the clerk please read the verdict?
Verdict Form A. We, the jury, finding the defendant Jesus Mesquia
guilty of the crime of felony murder in the first degree as alternatively charged in count 1. Juror number 1, is this your individual verdict? Yes. And is it the verdict of the jury? Yes. Juror number 2, is this your individual verdict? Yes. And is it the verdict of the jury? Yes. Juror number 3, is this your individual verdict? Yes. And is it the verdict of the jury? Yes. Juror number 4, is this your individual verdict?
Yes.
And is it the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
Juror number 5, is this your individual verdict?
Yes.
And is it the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
Juror number 6, is this your individual verdict?
Yes.
And is it the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
Juror number 7, is this your individual verdict?
Yes.
And is it the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
Juror number 8.
Cut my skin, it makes me human. Scorn your mind, won't just feel the pain. 'Cause it's what makes us human. Yeah, it keeps us all the same. You lose your head and your chosen trip. Inside your blood you might lose your skin. But a broken heart turns to sin. Well, when the wound is open, we're all the same. Cut my skin, it makes me human. Scorn your mind, feel the pain. You're looking at pain and you're looking at truth. There's nothing like pain to make us all the same.
Just hearing the jury pronounce him guilty of all charges completely and totally satisfied me.
I've got my whole life ahead of me because essentially I was here. Living with that on my mind for the last 12 years and really not able to find any peace until I saw this day. And, I always held out hope that I would see this day, but sometimes I really didn't think so.
For a long time, it's like I haven't been able to listen to the Gits because it was always so painful. After this happened and we were over there just the other night and we put it on, it was the first time that I felt like, happy again.
I still love listening to our music, although it makes me sad, it makes me miss Mia. Their legacy is what it is, and, it's seen differently by different people, but for me, it's just my personal memories of the time I spent with those guys.
It matters to me very much that people still care about the Gits and, the music especially. It's very moving, when I hear that people care and that they get something from it, because after all, that's why we did it to begin with,
We experienced a really dramatic, intense lives together, and we lost our sister together. We'll always be brothers, we'll live probably in different parts of the country or different parts of the world, but they'll still be Gits, just like Mia's will still be a Git.
Yeah, these are nice people here.